It's Halloween night in Haddonfield. When terror is supposed to be fun.
When terror is supposed to be fun. That's right. We're reviewing Halloween Kills for Halloween itself. And I gotta say, I was actually pretty impressed with what they were able to pull off here. First of all, while I admit it's not the best in the series, it's definitely not the worst. This is definitely not Season of the Witch. But to be fair, Season of the Witch would work better if it was its own thing. And this is not that. However, this is still pretty good. Not only does it keep a certain degree of, to be fair, continuity, but it actually does a lot. I was actually very surprised that they even used footage from Halloween 2, which, for the most part, they completely, except for like maybe one or two little sequences, they completely discard. But that makes sense because if you think about it, there's like so many different versions of Halloween with only the official real movie being the original. You know, you can literally count how many things of Halloween there are. You have the original film itself. Then you have 2. 2 makes up its own continuity because it's either counted or discounted so much. Both films sort of play their own point of view. Mainly 2 can either be discarded or counted. You then have Season of the Witch, which is like your third version. Then you have, of course, 4, 5, and 6, which is like The Return, you know, Laurie supposedly dead, it's her daughter, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And that was one of the most interesting. Then you have 5, the fifth incarnation, if you will, and that's when you went to H2O and Resurrection, where Jamie Lee Curtis actually came back as Laurie Strode. And actually, those 2 are still pretty damn good. So you're already up to 5. Then you get number 6, which is, of course, the Rob Zombie films, which, to be fair, the first one is good. The first one is really good. There are some elements of 2 that are all right, but it's 1 that's really the best film, and I can't wait to review that one personally. Halloween 2 for that, not so much. And then you have number 7, which we are currently on. Lucky number 7, which is this series right here. It starts with the 2018 Halloween, and this, by the way, picks up right after that one. It's literally the same night. But, to be fair, it makes total sense. The first movie was about, you know, that part of the night where Laurie and her family are fighting Michael, and then part 2 is when the town itself starts to take this kind of seriously. And I've got spam. Sorry, it was just Ghostface. He was being a pain in the butt trying to get me to buy some kind of insurance with, or I'll get you like a fish. Anyways, back to our film. So you have 7 generations. But what I like is that the first film in this series paid very good homage to the original films, not only in camera angles, setups, but also little things to the rest of the series that's now kind of decanonized. This film and the last one do have, believe it or not, Season of the Witch masks. You'll see them in the film. That's pretty damn cool. You have, in both films, sweeping angles of camera, steady cam work, just like what we saw in the original film. And it's done very well. The first film did it way better than this one, in my opinion. But this one is, dealing with the aftermath of that point. And Michael, he basically starts going home. That's part of the plot. And, oh, come on. I haven't even... My player. It's Universal Movies. I gotta deal with it. But I gotta admit, it's really cool. Once again, Carpenter does the score, so you have that great point, along with a few other people. And what surprised me is that you don't just have Jamie Lee Curtis coming back. You have the original sheriff. The actor is back. He's playing now a security guard because he's no longer the prime sheriff. You actually have the nurse. Remember the car scene? Whack! On the glass. She's been in at least 4 of the movies, believe it or not. She was in not only 1 and 2. She was in H2O, and she's in this one. That's a pretty damn good record, in my opinion. And believe it or not, they even got the little girl who, her babysitter brought her over to Jamie Lee Curtis's house. And it's the actual girl, too, by the way. That's really her. That's cool. That is great. That is great continuity coming back. They also bring back a couple of the other characters like Lonnie and, of course, Tommy Doyle. They're played by new actors, of course, but they are back. And to be fair, like Tommy Doyle has actually popped up in other. The character has popped up in other films too, by the way. Um, so it does make this great sense, and it works so incredibly well. The film also does a good job of very inventive kills, and also you have a lot of returning characters from the previous film. And remember, this is a lot more serious because I think the plan was for the film to start shooting as soon as you know you got into 2019. But we all know what happened in 2019. The you know what that shall not be named virus hit us all hard, and it was like a 2-year wait before this film right here got made, and and then of course ends and stuff. But it sucks. One of the cool things about this film versus the previous film is that they actually do take time to go back to the night he came home, the original film, literally after the event. So we get kind of partial resettings of Halloween 2 in that regard as well, which really works well. So not only do we get the events that happened that night when Michael was caught again, but it was, and that's how the film kind of opens, and it's really cool. And it just works so incredibly well, and it's actually kind of scary. You even see the dead dog that he ate. Remember, they couldn't really show that in the original film, but it gives you some idea. And much to my surprise, I was expecting it to be deep fake, but they actually found somebody in their team who, with just a tiny little bit of prosthetics here and there, looks exactly like Donald Pleasance. So you even get somebody coming out who looks just like Donald Pleasance. Not 100% sounds like him, but definitely looks like him. And that's like a factor that gives the film an edge. And again, the kills are actually really cool and really inventive. And I'm like, okay, oh, that was cool. And Michael is just a beast. In fact, literally when he escapes the house, because they do have to show how he gets out of the house after, if you've seen the last film, you know, it's like, how did he live through that? And like, just holy shit, it's a pretty damn cool action sequence. And you have the whole aftermath of the last film. And they go back to the Myers house, which is really cool. And it just works incredibly well. I did not find this film to be too bad. I was actually very surprised by the ending in a way. I was like, whoa, that was like, holy crap, you actually went there and did that? Now, to be fair, as you'll see, it says extended cut with an alternate ending. This also has the original theatrical cut, and that was what I decided to watch first, and thank God it's in 4K, but I have not watched the extended cut yet. Maybe I'll do that later. It's like a little extended cut series that I should do, because there are good and there are really bad ones, and there are some extended cuts I absolutely do not ever want to see again because they were so terrible. I'm looking at you, Ghostbusters 2016. Oh God, I'm going to have to review that one, I know, at some point. God, help me. But anyways, so you have the continuation of what happened. You have this town that is just basically falling apart. The sheriff can't even keep people in check. You have the leftover events and little things that happened in the past film coming back to roost in this film. You have Michael setting back to his house. And you also have all the characters having to deal with the events that have occurred. And it gets pretty bad. I mean, it's pretty serious. And to be fair, I was like, how is this going to get better or worse? I mean, it's really hard. But the film actually does succeed in many areas. Yes, it's not the best film, I'm going to admit that, but I do like that they actually try to do something different. They also tried to show basically, how serious this all was and how serious the town took it. But I do agree with a few people. I thought they went a little too overboard when we get to the ending and how, because this should have almost been the end of the series right here. I think if anything, Halloween Kills should have been, should have been the end of Michael. The way they set this up at the end, it should have been the end, but no, they do a surprise. So I'm wondering how the hell Halloween Ends is going to be, because it's a pretty good question. How is it going to work? It's a decent film. I still would recommend it, both to watch and everything else. Also, the man who played the Shape, that's what they called Michael Myers in the original film. They simply called him the Shape. He actually is in this movie, and he was in the last one too. I know he's pretty old. I don't think he can do anywhere near what he did, but he does actually pop up in the whole costume, which is pretty cool. And I was planning to wear this. Yeah, that's right. This is a cheap-ass Michael Myers mask, but I do want to point it out to you is just how accurate it is. It's just because it's so hard and stuff, and there's no really, there really isn't any way to breathe. I really could not stand being in this thing. I'm actually thinking about putting this on something. But I should point out that even in this particular version, you can actually, if you think about it, just make out the face of William Shatner. That's right. The original Halloween mask was a Captain Kirk mask from Star Trek. And in one interview, even John Carpenter said, I owe the success of Halloween to William Shatner, James T. Kirk. And it's kind of a funny thing. There's actually been a few Star Trek quotes thrown in, and a few other films, and even some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. I remember for what was it, Halloween Resurrection or something, the last one with Jamie Lee Curtis before this series started. They were talking about, because they had these cameras on, they were like, we don't want them to look like the Borg. There's another little Star Trek reference. But it tells you a lot. But, yeah, I do recommend it. And maybe I'll do the review on the extended cut to see what was different. Because, yes, extended cuts can either be really good or really bad. And in fact, thinking about that, I got another thing I got to unbox later, and I might actually include another Star Trek film in the horror department for next year. But I'm not going to review it this year or anytime soon. So there's that. There's also some games I want to get into real quick and play before the night for the kids today comes in. You know, it's Halloween. Got to get ready. And I'll be a scarecrow this year. Pretty cool. Although not your normal one. I've got a mouth that opens up to reveal sharp-ass teeth. Ooh, it's going to be fun. But yeah, this actually is still pretty good. They actually did do a lot, and you can tell the characters absolutely enjoyed the film when they were making it. And I think that's kind of true with horror movies. You actually can have fun because you get to do all your range and stuff, and it works very well. Also, they made sure that they did a lot. They had complete control over the situation and design. They actually built a large amount of the houses that you see in this film on sound stages, so they would have complete control. Yeah, I can imagine, unless you're like a little guerrilla film, shooting every night with people screaming and cop cars cruising down the street is going to be till like 1 o'clock in the morning. Is not going to be a fun experience for anybody. So yeah, I can kind of see why they did that. And yet, this was not a super deluxe expensive movie. This was like, I think, $20 million to make. So it shows that you can make good movies with not going completely out of control in the spending department. Looking at you, Rings of Power. But they did do a very good job. I'm going to be honest with that. It's not the most perfect film. It's not the greatest film. But hey, you know what? It works. I can't deny that. So I'll definitely be doing more stuff next year. I've still got the few things I want to do for Christmas. So who knows what's going to be there. And guys, I hope you like and enjoy. Happy Halloween. Check out some good movies for yourself. And also, if you've got any ideas for any movies I should probably check out for next year, as well as any video games or books, please leave them in the comments below. And I'll see you guys next year. Like and subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. And I want to keep getting my subscribers up, so please hit the bell and the subscriber point. And have a good day. Peace. Happy Halloween.